feel the earth move under my feet. I feel the sky tumbling down, tumbling down. Oh, this isn't my X Factor audition?
No, that was last week.
Oh.
It's a yes from me. That was the sound of Alfie upstairs creaking. Can you hear the creaking and the sneaking?
Probably can in this house.
Creaky doors. Hello.
Hey, everyone. I am apparently you're not supposed to say, hey, everyone. You're supposed to say, hey, you.
Hey, yous.
Hey, yous.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. We are really...
We're all guys.
We're all guys. We are very excited to be back after a hiatus. For those of you who are new to the show or coming back after a long time, I don't need reminding that I'm very freshly bereaved, but maybe you do, so you know why we were gone. Thank you so much to everyone who sent me messages of condolences. It really means a lot, and it helps me avoid the intrusive thoughts that I'm completely isolated and going through this alone and stuff like that. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to open with, but thank you all for your patience. We are so excited to be back.
We are a little excited.
Just a little bit, tiny little bit of excitement.
So small.
So little.
For those of you who need reminding, or if you don't know, my name is Michelle.
My name is Robin.
And we are a married, heterosexual, monogamous, international, transatlantic couple living in London.
Couple of gaslighters.
I don't think that's true.
I'm gonna dump you at the end of this podcast, and then we're gonna be back together again for the next podcast. It's gonna be amazing. So much drama.
Yeah, people can follow the trajectory of our fake relationship with rapt attention.
All of the Apple Music reviews say that we're fake. I'm just saying. All of them.
No, they don't. Don't be silly.
I've asked everyone leaving the reviews, like, which of you think that we're fake? And they all just kept quiet, but I know they did it.
The show we are recapping now is Married at First Sight Australia. We are also going to recap 90 Day Fiancé the other way, otherwise colloquially known as TOE.
It's not really, though, is it? Because as far as I can tell, this season of TOE, no spoilers, it's just people going on holiday and then going, oh yeah, this isn't working at all, and having to go back. They're not actually towing. They're not towing at all. One of them got their visa all mixed up. It's a disaster.
It is very compelling, and it feels like a return to form. It's a welcome return to form, especially after the iteration of 90 Day Fiancé that I don't even want to mention because I just don't even want to think back to that time. But yes, we do generally cover shows about relationships.
Yeah.
We are probably not going to cover Love is Blind this cycle.
Who knows?
If you want us to, we will.
We're gearing back up, all right? Here's how it works. We took a little bit of time out for healing. But we ain't healed. You ain't healed. There's still healing to do. So no promises, right? We're going to do what we can.
We're going to do what we can when we can do it. But we are absolutely doing Seeking Brother Husband.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because...
oh, God, yeah.
That's the kind of chaos that we love. Anyway. No further announcements. Patreon's gonna stay closed for paused. It's not a storefront, is it? It's not a shop. It's gonna stay paused.
I mean, look, if you're a celebrity, we will open it after hours.
If you want to do a launch on our Patreon.
Yeah. That's fine.
Celine Dion will be there calling the police.
Yeah. Hey, a few of our Patreonies would care that you won a contest this week for the first time in your life.
Yes, the only other time I've won was a raffle for the class Goldfish in first grade. I'm not making that up.
I'm really wheezy with my laugh today. That's incredible. What was the goldfish called?
Firefish.
Firefish.
Yeah.
That's not going to work very well.
He's going to put himself out.
Oh, well.
Don't know.
Yeah. Oh, did he live a while?
He did, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I always find raffle goldfish don't last the week.
No, he was like the class pet
Oh.
for a long time, and then he came to live with me.
Oh, little FF.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won a CD player in a nightclub once. I remember. A little portable Discman. As they were called.
Discman.
Yeah, a Discman. Yeah. That was the CD version of the Walkman, the Discman. Sure. You had
No,
to-
but Discman sounds like, the family dentist.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Discman. Yeah. Jaime Discman. Yeah. Discman. Yeah, it was in a club, and they called a name out, and you had to get to the front and pick your prize up off the DJ. And if you didn't get there in 30 seconds, it went to the next person. 4 people in, you better make no mistake, I got to the front of that damn club. Drinks flying all over the place.
I've never seen you run before.
Well,
so.
that is the last time. That was actually the same club. This is back in the days when I used to do those kinds of things. I remember stage diving. As I had gigs there, I remember stage diving without realizing that it was a completely it was like Moses and the Red Sea. People just parted, and I remember hearing the sound of my head hitting the ground over the loud PA. The sound of my head hitting the ground was loud enough to be heard over it. So I reckon they owed me a Discman or two.
That explains so much.
So much, yeah.
Yeah, I won a prize draw to listen to the new Depeche Mode album at an undisclosed location. Now, I might not be there myself, not because I don't love Depeche Mode. And if you haven't seen the documentary, what's it called?
101.
You must.
The first reality TV show, essentially, not TV.
Well, it's a documentary.
Yeah.
We're splitting hairs here. Look, Robin will definitely be going. I'm not feeling entirely well in myself yet, so I'm going to see how I feel on the day. Just being honest.
But I just want it, but I know we have a lot of Depeche Mode fans among our listeners. Weirdly, because it doesn't come up much, but
No.
came up in our Facebook group, didn't it? In the Blighty Day Babies.
Yes, yeah.
Do join. Come talk to us about anything, including 1980s electronic bands. Or anything. But yeah, that's a bit exciting. You won something, you see. That is the universe, right? Mm-hmm. Unlike Jen, that is the universe telling you good things.
Different podcast.
Yeah.
Or different recap, but that's okay.
Don't know.
Anyway, yeah, that's enough announcements. Oh, except, as previously stated, Patreon is staying on pause. I would love to hear from you all, and I'll think of a way, maybe like a Google survey or something, just to get information on what you all would like from that, because it is for you. And, I want to make sure that I can manage what we put out. Royalty is definitely coming back. And it may not be, behind the paywall. We may,
Are you telling me that kind of filth can go out on a free feed? It is officially the dirtiest podcast.
it really isn't.
Yeah.
It's pretty tame.
I'm just trying to sell the Patreon.
Oh, okay.
Filth.
Yeah.
Absolute
No, look, we want to bring it back.
filth.
Elliot and I love doing that podcast, and for the 10 people who listen to it all the way through, I know you really enjoy it, and I appreciate that. So we are going to bring that back in some form. So stay tuned. Follow us on at Blighty Day on Instagram, on Twitter. Email us, blightydayfiance@gmail.com. Please don't be shy. You can even message me on Facebook or on any of those platforms. Don't think that I'm one of those people who's like, oh, my DMs are full and I don't want to read any of them and I don't want people to talk to me about their life experience. This is part of why I do this. I really like it.
Yeah, general life advice, we're here for that. Like, should I get the tortoiseshell cat? Should I stick with the black and white one? We'll have an opinion.
I don't know about general life advice, but we can certainly, don't do that. We're the wrong people for that. Anyway, would you like to get into Married at First Sight, Australia, season 10?
I think week 7. While I was setting up, I was counting on my little fingers. I think, are we not going to do the partner swap for this podcast? We're not doing that. Not doing that. I refuse to do that as a matter of principle.
I'm not going to reenact.
I refuse to guest.
Look, we're
on
not
another podcast.
Look, we're
unlike you.
Whoa, excuse yourself. Yes. For those of you who didn't know, I was on DocuSweeties, I think the last Sunday. Yeah. So listen to that. Wah and Chris are both incredible, and it's a true honor to have gotten to fill in for Chris. They are hilarious. They cover all sorts of docuseries, and they are effing hysterical. So please go check that out. I had such a good time.
I just wanted to mention that before we go and do our podcast.
That was really good.
If people want to know what you thought before, they should go there.
Yeah.
Anyway, maths. Right. Who do you want to start with?
Let's start by saying we're not gonna cover, all the time that we've missed.
Yeah, like a month.
We're just gonna, we're just gonna talk about the couples where they are now, unless you're.
We had to go and see our child. That's why we haven't done the podcast.
Should we do the cheer? We'll do. Why don't we start with them? Okay. So Duncan and Alyssa.
I am a mum.
I'm the only kind of mum, and you'll never understand, 'cause you'll never be a mum. No!
That's what we sing every time she comes on TV.
Yeah. Look, I don't know about these two. Something.
Oh, really?
There was a turn, and I'm trying to figure out exactly when it happened. And I think it was during the couples retreat.
Mm-hmm. Mm. It did, but it struck me that she was already a little bit off-piste. Then, like, she reacted in such a strong way that I felt that something must have been brewing already, I think. Because she went completely crazed. And I should add, that is not a gendered.
No, of course not.
That is not a gendered adjective. We use the word crazed a lot in this house, mainly about the dogs. Again, not saying she's a dog. Alfie can also be crazed.
Yes.
When he wants an Oreo milkshake from Five Guys, he goes completely crazed.
You can be crazed. I can be crazed.
We can all be crazed. And Alyssa was completely crazed.
Yeah. It's basically when any sense of rational thought, any semblance of rational thought just vacates.
Of all the things that your partner might be doing that could drive you to hysterics, again, not gendered, playing tennis. I think that might be the first time anyone's ever lost it over someone playing tennis.
You cannot be serious.
Okay, all right. There may be one other time someone lost it over someone playing tennis.
People 40 and over will definitely get that joke.
Which other 80s and 90s tennis players to the rest of the cast remind us of?
That would be an interesting
Hugo's Tim Henman.
Hugo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forget. See, when people leave, they're dead to me.
Yeah, they're dead to you.
Right. Let's get back on track. I can't figure out what it is. I know that her sister did a Reddit AMA, which I didn't read because on principle, I think that's kind of unfair. Like, I don't think family members of the cast should be able to go on and...
The family would like to read this statement.
It wasn't even like that. She was just, she admitted that some of Alyssa's behavior was
Crazed. It's very odd, isn't it? Having the PR machine working for you while the show's going on. I mean,
that's
again,
why I don't think
NDAs,
it's fair.
But do the family have to sign NDAs?
But the family nobody should be speaking on her behalf is what I'm saying.
Well,
like, it's for...
I think look, I'll be honest with you. I think they know she's a little bit delicate. And again, I'm not gendering the crazed, but I think she's a little bit delicate.
Yeah, she might be delicate.
Yeah.
I think
no one wants to see their kid that much. That's all I'm saying. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. When I first separated from Alfie's mum, birth mother, and mum, I found weekends incredibly hard. Like, it was Fleischman's in trouble levels of, So, like, weekends were brutal. Genuinely, really, really brutal. When you're not used to not being with your kids, when you're suddenly not with your kids, it's tough. But, and again, everyone's different.
But even when you and I first started dating, it was like that. Like, you were openly weeping in public, and that was many months on after your separation.
So it is really hard. And it's not fair to say, why is this person feeling this, but this person isn't, right? Because everyone feels things differently and shows things differently. But plenty of people on the show have got kids. They don't use that. The only issue I have is not that she missed her son. I think it's a son. It's that she weaponized it again and again and again.
I sort of agree with that.
She even weaponized it with the experts. I like the look on the experts' faces when they're like, are you actually coming for us? And she did it on this latest commitment ceremony as well. He told you.
I don't think that had anything to do with... I've been trying really hard to get a sentence in, and you've been stepping on me a bit.
Oh, no.
This is why it's...
They've missed this.
They've missed this. They have missed you cutting me off repeatedly. But this is... part of why we started a podcast in the first place was that so I could finish a sentence every now and then.
Go on.
All right. They love it. They live for it.
I'll put a nicotine lozenge in my mouth, eh? That'll shut me up for a minute.
All right, good.
Right.
Here is what I think is the root cause of this problem. So Alyssa personalizes Duncan's feelings, negative emotions. So any disagreement that they have, or any time he feels shut down by her or dismissed or abandoned, which is all the time because she cannot have an argument, right?
Right.
And I'm convinced that the only reason they were so solid in the beginning is because they had nothing to argue about.
Right. And we did say that. We were like, let's see what happens with this one when there's a challenge. And it just went to all shit, right?
Right, because she cannot tolerate someone else's distress. She can barely tolerate her own distress.
Correct.
I promise you, and I'll probably get, some heat for this, and maybe deservedly. I promise you her kid is spoiled. I promise you she cannot say no to that child.
Right.
Ever. Because she can't tolerate distress.
But she says no to Duncan all the time.
No, she doesn't. She flounces out.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? She won't even stay to have the argument.
Right.
Because she'll shut it down right away and go, I have to be with it. So yeah, she is weaponizing her relationship with her child in the sense that instead of admitting to not being able to handle having an argument or taking accountability or listening to someone's pain or sitting with someone else's pain, she's got to walk out because she misses her kid and needs to be with her kid because that's more socially acceptable.
Yeah. I don't think anyone for a second believes that she misses her kid in those moments to the degree that she says that she does. Having said that, I think it's subconscious as well. To an extent. I don't think she's actually sitting there going, I'm in a difficult position, I'll pull the kid card. I don't think it's that. I just think that she thinks that her distress and her challenges and difficulties are completely unique in the universe. Hence I am a mom.
I'm the only kind of mom. Yeah.
She's the only person that has feelings and therefore the only person that's really allowed them. And if anyone else has feelings, then they've forgotten that she's got feelings. I mean, she is the queen of whataboutery. It's incredible. Like the latest, and the queen of withdrawing emotion as well. I mean, it's shocking. In that last commitment,
withdrawing affection, you mean?
Yeah. In that last commitment ceremony, like she's pretending to care about him and sort of rubbing his arm because, I mean, she's worried about how she's going to look. I mean, forget about Claire, right? She's worried about how she's going to look on TV, so she's pretending to give a shit. And then he says something that she doesn't like, and the hand gets whipped away immediately. And she's like, "You didn't say that to me." It was just remarkable how she can switch like that.
There are several points you've made that I broadly disagree with you, I have to say.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that...
Well, I don't want to talk about it then. I'm a dad.
I think you're projecting a lot onto her that isn't there.
Okay.
I think that, or maybe... I think the end result is probably the same. You and I both agree on what the end result is and the consequences of her behavior and what that looks like.
Yeah, she'll never get anyone as good.
Well, she's a sabager, right?
Yeah.
She's a self-sabotager. But I think the reason is because she can't handle conflict of any kind, and she doesn't want to. She's already been so. She's already been raised in a culture that shames and shuns.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And having left that culture, she doesn't necessarily, or having left that religion or that community,
Whatever.
It doesn't mean that doesn't stay with her and that she hasn't internalized that. So I think, she's testing him. She's punishing him. She lacks a lot of self-awareness. I don't think her behavior has anything to do with the public perception of her at all. I think we're seeing who she really is.
I think I disagree.
Okay.
I think I've seen in a few commitment ceremonies now her bristling at being questioned, and I feel like she's bristling at being questioned on TV. And I feel that when she shuts him down, it's because the optics don't look good for her. I think you're being kinder than I would be, actually. Having said all of that, I don't blame her for it. Her upbringing is messed up, right? Her backstory is messed up. And I kind of feel for her, and shit like that's going to do some damage. Like, you leave a culture like that, your whole life gets ripped apart, right?
Yeah.
So she's a mess. So, I'm not going to say she's not a Harrison. She's not bad, but therapy. A lot of therapy.
Yeah, I think
she's not ready. She's not ready.
I think she needs a lot of help. And sadly,
she should see the therapist that Darcy's Michelle wanted her to go and see.
Maybe. We won't go into that because now I'm going through that in my mind. Yeah, what makes me this is the last thing I'll say about them, and then I do think we should move on. I don't think she's learned anything about herself, and that's what makes me sad.
I don't think she's learned anything about him either.
But something that's missing from this season that I know there have been in previous seasons,
right,
is usually there's some kind of intervention when couples hit a breaking point where one or both of them will talk to one of the experts.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we're not seeing that. And I think
sometimes they go into like emergency triage and stuff.
Well, yeah.
Like, was John too busy?
No, I think I have a feeling
Alessandra didn't do a lot of the sex visits this year.
I don't think she did any. Did she do any?
Like one or two? But there were ones where we were like, huh? What?
Yeah, it was weird when
she did like group sessions where it was like an Ann Summers party.
Yeah, that was...
What's the American equivalent of an Ann Summers party?
I don't know, because I don't know. Y'all, let us know what the sort of almost family, I don't want to say family friendly. What's your strip mall?
It's like a
sex shop.
You got Tupperware parties in the States, right?
What? I'm sorry, is this the 1970s?
Yeah, but I'm going, the 50s, I think. But that was a thing, right? So the housewives would all get together.
You're talking about MLMs. Yes, people
it's like
have
Avon and
Yeah, tell us what the equivalent of that is where people have parties and sell sex toys. Who does that? Let us know. All right. I think it's frustrating for the experts too, because I think that they're basically every time they talk to Harrison, I can see how angry they are underneath it all.
Well, they're like seething at the producers.
Yeah, because I think each one of them went into this show thinking, I'm going to teach people about relationships.
Yeah.
I truly believe in them. Not necessarily for the UK quote unquote experts, but I believe in each of these individuals. Okay. Let's go for an easy one next. Tani and Ollie.
He looks less and less like Jerry Seinfeld as the season has gone on. The kind of the shavy, mullety thing. He's like a refugee from the Lost Boys now, like a minor character. It's quite the haircut. There's a bit of Lamal from Kajagoogoo. Second time I mentioned Lamal on this pod. Mm-hmm. He's an interesting character. I think he is my favourite person on this season of MAFS.
Yeah, same.
And I think he might actually be my favourite person for quite some time.
Yep.
I just wish he'd been in a year when he could have found some bromances with some other boys.
I know.
Because he strikes me as being like the kind of man that I love on this show. He's so emotionally articulate, so bright. He's the kind of kid that makes me look at kids and go, God, kids are all right.
Gen Z is all right.
Gen Z is okay.
They're gonna
be fine.
Yeah.
They're gonna make things better. Like, he is decent, fundamentally decent,
Yes, and he's and
and
you're
funny.
and you're watching the evolution, right? You're watching him learn about himself,
Yeah.
admit to his vulnerabilities, take accountability for things. I mean, not that he's badly behaved to begin with, but you're watching him grow
up,
and this
yeah.
relationship blossom. And in a way,
Sometimes the octopus is happy. Sometimes the octopus is sad.
I feel like that
Confucius
octopus is
say.
there. We were so burnt when I'm thinking about who I liked as much as we like him. And before we found out that Brett was racist, I think we liked Brett.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that much.
Yeah.
And it hurts when that happens. The only sort of darkness I feel, potential threat to this relationship, is just I'd really love for them to return to the outside world and not feel like it has to be so serious. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're so young.
They are
I would love for them to just date for several more years and then move in together. Do you know what I mean?
I should move in together.
I don't think they need to. I don't think they need to rush.
I don't think.
I really want them to make it.
I don't know about her yet. Like, I have not one bad word to say about her, but I don't really think she's come out of her shell. But I don't think she's come out of her shell as a human being. Like, I don't think she quite knows who she is.
Right.
yet.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I want them to date for a while and really, like,
Yeah, maybe.
have those experiences. But maybe, some people know who they are at an early age. And I think that's true for the latecomers last season who got married IRL, the physical therapist and the theater, quote unquote, theater producer.
Yeah.
Like those are their personalities
I'm not
forever.
sure he knew quite who he was.
I think he did. Anyway, moving on to, let's talk about Rupert and Evelyn.
Okay.
I'm going to refill my water. Why don't you tell our listeners about Evelyn's dating history?
Oh, brother. Do you all know this? Do you all read the same gutter buggy press that I dip my head into? Like, every day I take my head and I just plunge it into the slimiest parts of the internet to find the gutteriest bits of gossip. Evelyn's been well, she was on Big Brother in the UK. And she's not a no one. There's pictures of her in the back of a limo with Bieber. Much more alarmingly, she went on vacation with Andrew Tate, and I think dated Andrew Tate, who is probably the world's vilest man currently. I mean, it's a hotly contested title.
Right?
But if you were to take a crypto bro.
No, people know who he is.
Yeah?
Yeah, they do.
Even in America.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I just want to say, if you were to take your archetypal crypto bro, a guy storming the Capitol, the worst bits of Russell Brand, and just an out-and-out Nazi, and roll them together, you get Andrew Tate. So the fact that Evelyn has been with this guy makes me super sus. However,
I have to say, I have loved her
I know.
throughout the process. I thought she has been, sorry, that was Robin hitting a lamp by mistake. That's,
Well, I keep telling you, if we stuck with gaslighting,
oh boy. I think that was a while ago. I think that there's definitely potential for her having learned from those relationships. What I liked the most about her is she's probably the first person ever to have come onto the show, been a bit uncertain about the wedding and then gone, you know what, I'm going to make the best of this. There's not immediate sparks, but I'm going to make the best of this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make him fucking sleep on the floor.
Right.
I'm not going to try to humiliate him. I'm not going to take my ball and go home. She's been up for everything.
Totally. Like, of all the people that have been on shows like this, to be on shows like this, and I'm pretty sure that's her motive, I'm fine.
Sure.
Like, she's actually done the show.
Yeah,
right?
she has.
As opposed to so many people that come on the show and then have no intention of doing the show.
No.
Whatsoever. She definitely has. A little tiny element of I want to be courted sort of came out. But you know what? That's actually fine because this boy has got to pull it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's sweet. I don't think this one's gonna last, but I think they've had a nice time together and will probably remain friends. I don't think there's any ill will on her part.
I think it's refreshing for her to be around a normie.
Yes,
right?
That too.
I imagine because I don't think she spends a lot of time with normies.
No.
I think everyone she's usually around is as beautiful as she is.
Yeah, or is obsessed with their social media and all of that. And I think it's
a lot of backstabbing and a lot of fighting and jostling for position. And I actually just think he probably just reminds her of the boys that she grew up with, and she quite likes that, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe, here's the romantic in me, she'll realise that actually the boys like that are probably the ones you actually do want to settle down with. But I think she's a bit too young to make that compromise.
I think she is too. I think she's, still in her yacht party era.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
That phase we all go through.
The lucky few of us.
Yeah. But we love her. She's funny. She's gorgeous. She's
great TV.
She's great TV. And she's morally right.
Yeah. And like I say, every time she speaks to Harrison, I so badly want her to say, listen, I've dated Andrew Tate, so I know from gaslighting misogynists.
Yeah.
And you are gaslighting misogynistic narcissists, and you are that, sir.
You're not even very good at it.
You're not. Yeah.
I dated a professional fucko.
Let's talk about Leighton and Melinda.
Let's.
Okay, so just for the sake of expediency and for clarity of thoughts, as I'm still, yes, everyone, tapering off one medication and dealing with some others that affect my cognitive function and memory, etc. Let's make it easier for Robin. And this is not a shame thing. This is just let's make this easier for everybody thing. So I'm going to say what I think, and then you say what you think. Is that all right?
Sounds fun.
Okay. Thanks for your support. Really appreciate it.
You have it.
So I think Melinda really has put her heart on the line. I think she's a good fucking sport, because if I had to be in a room alone for any length of time with Chode, aka Harrison, I would find a way to escape down the balcony and run into oncoming traffic and catch the nearest bus to the furthest place away from him. So I admire her a lot for that. I understand that there's a disagreement. I think primarily their big difference is that Leighton, A, doesn't listen to what she's saying, and B, intellectualizes every single argument, and C, for that reason, is unable to sit with her discomfort or her emotions or is any of her stuff. And I think that's incredibly sad, and she deserves way better. Robin.
I liked her from the start. She was sat with Melissa, Thor's hammer.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we disagreed on this at the time, but I really liked the way when she was being shamed for maybe not wanting to sleep with her husband on the wedding night, she didn't rise to it. She took it. She kept cool. And I thought, actually, this is a grown up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've just seen it in the last few weeks. She'll do what's required of her. I don't get the feeling that she's on this just to be on TV, which you might have thought from another frosty blonde on the show, right? It's a certain type and the wedding was awful and blah, blah, blah. You might have thought she'd be that, but she hasn't shown herself to be that at any point. Like that, she cry real tear.
Yeah.
He no cry real tear. I just don't think he has any feelings.
Have you been... Did we watch too much Darcy and Stacey? Are you abbreviating because you've been listening to Florian? Do you know have the fear, the afraid?
I don't have the afraid. I think Leighton needs to give her strawberries.
Oh, I love Florian.
We are obsessed with Florian this season. It's the Florian show. He is my king. I love him. If Stacey ever has enough of Florian, we'll take him, won't we?
Yeah.
He can join as a brother husband.
Well, I'd prefer not to have those kind of... I'm not attracted to him, but
what a lodger.
He's amazing.
Florian around the house would it's like another pet.
Yeah, so what do you think...
Yeah, Leighton's not got a soul. Ultimately,
and
he is Jeremy Strong in Succession. He is a mess. He is. He'll have a breakdown. He's Jeremy Strong before Succession, right? Not the
actor?
No, the character, right?
I think Kendall is all soul.
No. But before Succession begins, you get the feeling that Kendall was this kind of guy, and then everything unravels, right?
Okay.
So you remember like season 1 is kind of, before any unraveling. He's had drug problems and stuff, but, you see it all play out in the show. I just think that's who Leighton is. I think he's this chinless guy that speaks in business speak and thinks he knows what he's doing, but he hasn't got a fucking clue. He's never had to grow up. He's just kind of lucked into the position that he's in.
I do agree with that. He's never
had to have feelings because he's never actually had problems. As far as I know. And if he has, he's not shown them on this show. He's not revealed any of that. Like, there's no soft underbelly because he's never flipped around to show anything.
Well, I think the sad truth is that the stakes are not high for him because he doesn't care about her.
Well, we've heard that he's never had... I mean, they usually focus on the never had a, first relationship, blah, blah, blah. But didn't he say he's never had a relationship more than a few weeks?
Yeah.
Right?
I believe that.
I believe that. This is why I'm saying he's Kendall Roy. I know he has an ex-wife and kids and so on. But it's that kind of guy. That's just what he is. Or if he's not Kendall Roy, he's the kind of guys that Kendall Roy hung out with.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just so stuck in the Kendall Roy of it all. No,
he may one day develop this huge crisis and depth of soul, and he may become my favorite. That's the thing about Leighton. I think that there's something there I could really like, and I think she sees that too. But she's 5 years too early. Like, he's not become who he might become.
And he doesn't get that he will never...
Ever.
do better than her.
Ever.
He's stupid.
And I know she's been shamed for having had some work done, but it isn't much work. And it's good work.
Fuck whoever shamed her.
Yeah. Well, they've edited around, you can tell, they've edited around a lot of stuff this season, right? I still go back to the cupcake incident. That cupcake was Harrison's dig at Bronte's breast job, right?
Yeah.
Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
But they've sort of danced around that. But there's been a lot of stuff clearly that's been cut out, I think, about people. And they've alluded to it, but people have been digging on people that have had work done. There's been a lot of body shaming, I think.
Yeah. Which is interesting for a show that has rarely ever had anyone, I think, above a US size 6
Mm-hmm.
in the female cast, at least. So, there's not, what I'm saying is there's neither been much ethnic diversity over the years nor size diversity. So yeah, that's something that I think the producers need to take a good hard look at themselves. And
yeah, because it definitely came up with Dan and Sandy. Right?
Yeah.
But was edited around. You could tell. Right?
Yeah.
You can tell.
Totally.
Right, who's next?
Cam and Lyndall.
Cam and Lyndall. So when we first started covering this, I alluded to something I'd read about Cam. And
Trigger warning.
Yeah.
Animal stuff. Let's not get into it.
Well, again, it's an unsubstantiated rumor. And look, I'm not going to repeat it because it is unsubstantiated. But fuck me if I can't see that in him.
Yeah, there were allegations about mistreatment of a pet, and I don't. Again, that's a big trigger for me, so I don't want to go into that. I have sensed in the past couple of weeks that there is a nastiness to him and a sort of, I don't know how else to say it, but a sort of like base level contempt for people who don't live the way that he does.
Yeah, she alluded to it too. It was something like, I'm scared of what his reaction might be, but you could tell the way she said that wasn't that she was scared he'd be disappointed in something. It was that he would get nasty.
Yeah.
Again, I feel they're editing around things.
I think so too. And if you recall to when we met his mother, that tells you everything. Vulnerability is a weakness. Somebody needing affection or someone asking for affection or comfort is needy.
These people from the city, they're not like us.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know what living is. I mean, you thought butter was bad? Oof. Butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. That mother was, wow. And you can see it in him, is the thing. Like, it's one thing to have an awful mother, right? And I'm not going to blame anyone for having an awful mother, but you can see that same inverted snobbery in him. Well, job's the job. What do you expect me to do? I expect you to do what anyone else fucking does. Find another job somewhere, dickhead.
I have a job. It's the only kind of job, and you'll never understand because you have another job. Oh, bless her. I think that I know she's gotten a very favorable edit and, perhaps.
Well, the amount of money that came in from the pharma company, it's
No, apart from that, I do, and like I said, I don't discount that she's been given a very favorable edit because they had to have a few likable people.
But she's not likable. She's not likable. She's not ready. She is not ready for this show. Simple.
Not ready for why do you think she's not ready to be in a relationship?
Because she's got so much to learn about herself now that there's time to learn stuff about herself. She's really damaged. She's not got over this traumatic experience. Like, people have a traumatic experience which lasts a day or a week. She's had a lifetime that was a traumatic experience. Give her a bit of breathing room. She's not ready.
I don't think he's right for her.
No, the right man might be with her while she gets ready. Maybe. Right? But it's going to take a really loving and patient guy. Or she's not ready.
I want her to want better for herself.
Right. Right.
Because I do think that
she's miserable.
I think that she is I disagree that she's miserable. I think she's a very caring person. She is the first person to go look after someone who's upset, whether the cameras are following her or not. She doesn't have a put on personality, is what I'm saying. There are very few people who come onto these programs. Sorry about the vocal fry, everybody. I'm starting to feel it a bit in my chest. I think what you see is what you get with her. I don't think there's some ulterior
no
side.
I just think there's a sadness, and I don't think she's ready for a man like this. But who should be ready for a man like this is all. She seems miserable. I'm not backing down on that. She seems really sad, and I think it could have been him that's done that. But I think most people would have left her frustrated, probably.
I don't think that's true. I
just don't think you should come up. Reality TV always wants people that have just been through trauma, right? But these are not the people that are equipped to come on these shows. You shouldn't go on these shows when you've just lost someone. You shouldn't come on this show when you've just been given a new lead. This is not the time.
No. I also see shades of. Now, she is not like Booka because she's not openly condescending, but there are shades of that class divide there. That was there with Booka and Brett that I think ultimately, caused them to drift apart.
I don't see her ex. If anything, it's the other direction.
No, I think I'm saying it's a class divide, and it's a contempt, but there's a word for it, and I can't. It's classism, but it's
the other way around than it usually presents itself.
Yeah,
but
correct.
Even saying that suggests that one is above and one is below, and so we get very uncomfortable with that.
But let's call it socioeconomic or an education gap or a wealth gap or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what else to call it but classism.
It is possible his desperation to hold on to this job, that, what he has is just so remarkable. But I don't get it.
He just doesn't look. The stakes are not high for him.
Well, I come back to what I originally read all that time ago, an account from someone who says that they knew him, which is he's a sleazy guy, who fucks a different girl every night and seems to enjoy the remoteness.
He should be with what's her face from Tassie.
Yeah.
That's the kind of.
Well, she wanted him, right?
I think she did, yeah.
Yeah.
I unlike you, I don't read the rumors because I don't want to be
I think
influenced.
there are two kinds of people that might be absolutely devoted to the kind of work that he does, right? It's someone that really enjoys being off the grid because then you're not accountable for anything that you do. Or it's someone that genuinely believes in the work, maybe helping communities that need help and is driven by, like your dad went off the fucking grid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was saving lives, but I've not heard him speak of it in those terms. So I'm assuming it's the former.
I wonder if it's one of those things like working on an oil rig where you get paid a lot.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And you get, you're 4 months on and then 2 months off or something.
Well, it's like Jovi.
Yeah, that's the other example I was going to give.
Yeah.
Okay. Who are we missing apart from...
Do you want to cover any of the people that have sadly left us while we were off the air? Well done, Sandy.
Yeah, well done, Sandy.
That guy was a dickhead and Michelle called it. If only you'd listened to the pod.
Yeah, that guy was a dickhead. Nasty. Yeah. Horrible man.
Tiny little piggy eyes and screwed up anger face.
Yeah.
Furious that he's not taller.
He's got a tiny little dingling too.
So little. It's
horrible.
Smell.
Categorically cannot fuck. Thinks and also does not perform oral sex on women because I have the site for that. He just doesn't do it.
Yeah, he's a dick. Who else did we lose? We lost Jesse and Claire.
Yeah, look, a lot of people really like Jesse.
They're wrong.
I don't want to piss in your cereal, but I didn't care for Jesse.
Can we be very clear about this? Claire got off with Adam after weeks of Jesse abusing her, manipulating, gaslighting, all the things that we don't like Harrison for. Jesse was unspeakably confrontational, rude, misogynistic, and gross. And the relationship was basically over, right? And
I think it was over before it started.
He killed it. I mean, it started really well. They both got clicky necks, right? It started good, but he killed it on that honeymoon, and she acted like a single person because she was a single person at that time, right?
I can't. I agree with what you've said about Jesse. I don't have any particular malice towards him. I think he's really immature and really socially maladroit. Particularly, I think he can put on an act like he does as a marriage celebrant.
Yeah, but all of this, wounded, I've been done wrong by thing is an avoidance technique.
For me, it was all the deal breakers that immediately, I was never gonna see him in a positive light after that. But really
this was
wasn't.
Another deal breaker, he wanted something and he got it and he took it, right?
Yeah.
See ya.
I think
she's a fucking queen. He could have had a shot and he blew it.
I don't even know if he could have had a shot because I don't think she was attracted to him, and I don't blame him. I think, I'm not going to defend what she and Adam did. I think Adam was more in the wrong than she was because he was fronting like
there was nothing wrong with his relationship.
there was something wrong with his relationship. What he was presenting was that he and Janelle were not in a good place or whatever.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just saying he hadn't told her that.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. So, no, he was definitely much worse than that. But like I say, Claire, on a night out, acted like a single person because, honestly, at that point, she was a single person. I don't think it's that terrible.
I think regardless of the real world consequences of that, within the context of the experiment, it wasn't the right thing to do. She took accountability for it. She shouldn't have lied about it in the first instance. That was wrong.
Yeah.
But
I've never seen good apologies like her.
Yeah,
and really good.
And I believe
Commendable.
she was sincere. I don't believe that she was just trying to save face, okay? So I'm tired of that tedious argument. Josh and Melissa, I think Melissa's behavior was reprehensible. I think we can all agree, and I hope we can all agree that were the gender roles reversed, there would be
an intervention
of some kind for his safety. I think it's wrong to bully anyone into a sex act. And particularly I will never forget the way that once she sussed that she had been caught out for doing what she did, which was coercing him into having and threatening him into having sex with her.
Yeah, it was worse than Kimbali and Usman.
Right. And then talk about whataboutery. Then it became, when we did, I felt taken advantage of.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't good sex.
Gross.
Yeah, she was horrible.
She insinuated worse than it was bad sex.
Yes,
she insinuated
did.
that it was, yeah.
Yep. Really unforgivable. As far as we know, I mean, again, it's edits, who knows, but I'm sure they showed a shot of her. Like, you know how this show is like, it's cut into many overlapping segments.
Yeah.
Like each little bit of Mafsar's, you've seen the first 20%, and then the last 20% is shown at the first 20% of the next bit, right? It's massively overlapping, right? I'm sure in one of the after the breaks, they showed a shot of her at the girls' night, but I don't remember her being at the girls' night.
No, she was at the girls' night.
They didn't show anything of
No,
her whatsoever, to the point that you wouldn't know she was there, other than that I'm sure they were like, coming up, she comes in, and everyone was like, whoa, but then that didn't actually happen. It was very odd. She was not held accountable.
Taylor and Hugo, look, I don't think either of them are any prize. I don't have a single kind word to say about Taylor. I think her behavior was not just impolite, not just inappropriate, but cruel.
I think it says a lot about Australia and the gender roles, and we have for many years been like, oh, Australian men, right? There's this kind of image of, the slightly regressive mentality.
Women are way worse.
Well, this is, I don't know if they're worse, but what we're seeing is that these roles, even when you try and evolve, they pull you back down, right? It's actually quite hard to climb out of the primordial swamp. And I've seen lots of Australian men who are very evolved in the last few seasons of this show, but I've seen just as many women who don't want the men to evolve, and it's really troubling.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of women who embrace a certain archetype that I would run a mile from.
Well, most of the, developed world, horrible phrase, would run a mile from. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And no offense to any Aussie listeners.
No,
I
God, I'm
don't.
not saying every Australian
No.
woman. It's just
We're
it's,
making generalizations based on the people who have been on this show, who we understand are not representative of Australia as a whole.
But it is really interesting. Well, it is sort of representative because you can see that when cultures change, it's not just about one side changing, it's about the other side letting them change, you know? And I find that actually really fascinating.
Can we talk about before we get to our last couple?
Yeah.
Can we talk about Caitlyn and Shannon and how pissed Shannon was? I can't believe he had the nerve to show up at the boys' night at all.
Well, word has it he was completely legless at the airport flying in.
I have never seen someone that drunk on TV, and I saw, well, maybe not Ruthie from the Real World Hawaii like 20 years ago. She was catatonic. But this guy, Shannon, was so drunk.
You need to get on the YouTubes. Everyone needs to get on the YouTubes, and you need to find footage of Oliver Reed, the actor Oliver Reed, on, I'm pretty sure it was Wogan. It was a British talk show. That is the most drunk I've ever seen someone on TV. It's just remarkable. But yeah, he was like, and the nastiness of him. That nasty drunk.
I think he's
a rat, isn't he?
I think he's worse than Harrison, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's...
Well, just wait, because I'm about to say something about Harrison.
All right, so let's stop dancing around it. I think we've covered everyone. I think if we left someone out,
they don't matter.
Then they haven't made a distinct enough impression,
and that's their fault.
Sure. Let's talk about Brontosaurus and the Chode.
The Chode.
Everyone's favorite.
Ollie called him Harry at one point, which I thought was really fun.
Yeah, people have called him Harry. Oh, that was the other thing. Jesse and Harrison were very close, and I think that tells you everything you need to know about Jesse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't think... Robin, talk to me about Harrison and Bronte and your thoughts on the decision.
Boy. Everyone keeps coming for Harrison. Like, he is this manipulative, gaslighting person that wants to throw grenades, right? Like, the fourth wall erupted this season with the experts actually just not being experts anymore, but just being participants, right? In the Harrison Roadshow. As a TV entity, he is gold. I've not seen anyone quite like him since... it was in my head earlier today. There was... Is it something Bateman? I mean, not Patrick. First season of Big Brother in this country. He was like this evil guy. He passed notes to people about, we should vote this, and the whole country was absolutely scandalized that someone could play a game. Because we all thought it was an experiment, right? At the time,
okay,
right? Yeah,
sure.
And I can't believe I've forgotten his name. It was in my head earlier. But he became like a huge hate figure in the country, right? Front page of all the papers, right? Big deal. Harrison's a little bit like that. He is an unbelievable pantomime villain. And I sort of love him for giving us this. I have to say, there's something kind of almost likable about him. Like, his silly little laugh And the way he knows, I think he knows sometimes how absurd he is or how absurd, or when someone is kind to him, the way he sort of melts. I think he's just really horribly fucked up. But here's the controversial thing that I'll say. I honestly think in his head, he hasn't done anything wrong.
I also believe that he believes in what he's selling.
Which is why it's so wonderful to watch.
If
it were an act, it would be horrible, right?
But when he and Melinda and Leighton were in Melinda and Leighton's apartment, and she says something to the effect of like, "Do you think I want to be stuck here with Harrison?" And he's like, "I'm right here."
That's what I'm talking about.
Gold.
But that's that little puppy dog kind of thing that he sometimes does, you know?
Please don't compare him to my favorite thing in the world. That's taking it too far.
But there is something funny about him.
If he was doing actual damage.
Yeah. That's right.
Then I would feel very differently. Like, I think about past villains. Like, I think about Bryce and Melissa from, I guess, season 8.
That's right.
Bryce was doing real
Massive
damage.
Bryce
to
was
her.
dismantling a woman.
Yeah.
Alienating her from everyone else.
And they're married for realsies now and have 2 kids. And that's, I mean, that was frightening behavior. Do I think Harrison is a narcissist? Yes. But let's remember that narcissism also has a range, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think he didn't forget that he said those things about Bronte, okay? But I don't
But it's brilliant. It's a brilliant move.
But I think that they decided...
No one's ever held their own against the experts like Harrison.
That is true, and I wasn't expecting that.
You know?
Okay.
The chutzpah.
I wouldn't go that far. He makes me very angry.
Me too.
And the worst part is, and this is how good he is, because he is actually, in showing some of his faults, like what a bad fucking liar he is, there's stuff that you miss out on that he's very good at, like the fact that he's actually made us all hate Bronte more than we hate him.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the best, to me, that's the biggest,
but he's
really, trick that he's pulled
really, really good at what he does. But everyone sort of thinks that just pointing out what he does is a way of defeating him. And everyone tried. Everyone took a shot at the king and missed. You know, Evelyn tried it and Claire tried. Everyone tried it. But with someone like Harrison, it's not enough just to say to him, you're doing these things. You've got to find a way of actually defeating it. That's like saying to the clouds that they're raining and expecting the rain to stop. It's not enough. And you cannot defeat him because he'll just say, no, I'm not. And then where do you go? Because there's no stakes. Because you can't touch him. You can't hurt him. And I can't help but admire it in a weird fucking way. But everyone he took a shot at, don't forget, he was right.
That's the most infuriating thing.
He's right about Leighton and that relationship, right? He's right. He was right about Jesse and Claire. Not what he says. What he said was bullshit. Oh, she's just concerned with her image. But he is a smart cookie. He's the lion that gets the gazelle, right? You go for the one at the back of the pack, right? It's very, very, very hard not to admire such a perfectly evolved killing machine. Just a fucking force of nature.
He is the apex predator of the experiment.
Yeah.
I
think he even got the better of the experts.
I think he did too.
Because they were like, Harrison, before you throw those grenades, look at the damage you've done. He's like, I am. I'm looking at the damage I've done, and it's wonderful.
And then it's like, what do you think your part is? And he'll never answer.
No. But he knows in his head, he knows. He knows everything he's done. But here's the thing. This is why I'm saying you can't just say to the clouds, stop raining. Like, he's like, yes, all of that is true. And I don't give a fuck because I'm chaotic evil. I'm the Joker. Sometimes you just want to watch the world burn.
He has a beautiful future in politics.
Yeah.
And I hope he uses it. So talk to me about, or I guess I'll go first. So I think, yeah, what you've said about the apex predator is absolutely correct. What a journey it's been with Bronte. I confess that I have hated her from the very beginning. I think that, do I feel bad for her? Do I have empathy for her in the sense that I have empathy toward someone who has suffered and been humiliated?
No.
I don't, because
not really.
Her motivation to be the last woman standing is so clear and it's so transparent. And you hear him, the other thing is you heard him talking about sex like Steve Carell in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, right? Like those two maybe had sex that one time.
They had sex. Once again, I reiterate, they had sex that one time. He didn't like her fake boobs. He sent her a cupcake to really reinforce the point that he didn't like her fake boobs, and they haven't had sex since.
No.
That's what it comes down to.
I think she despises him.
Yeah.
And I
think he loves that.
And she has no shame. And you know what? I think he and Melinda might have a future together.
There is such a spark.
There really is.
They could have such a good time together. Because here's the thing about Harrison. He can operate on more than one level at once. Like mentally, intellectually, right? He's smart. You can't be that kind of a see you next Tuesday without being smart. And he really is an arsehole, but he's so good at it. And he's funny. He's funny. And Leighton's not funny.
He would be
And Bronte's not funny. That's the thing.
Harrison would be a great Real Housewife. Like that's the universe he should operate in. Really.
I want to watch him on my TV annually. I'd like him to be an expert next year. It would be incredible reading people for Phil. But I also want to watch him get fat, which he will. You can just see it in him, right? The gym will only take you so far, right? That is a man who is destined to end up looking like, what's his name, for John Goodman. He's going to look like
John Goodman's skinny now.
Yeah, that's true. But Roseanne era John Goodman, right? You can just see he's not just going to put on a few pounds. He's going to be massive, Harrison. He just is. You can see it in his face. And again, it's not to body shame, but I want to see as he all of the armor that he has is stripped down. I want to see him destroy himself because he does deserve it. He's a horrible, horrible person.
Yeah, he is a terrible person.
Don't think for a second when I say I like him or whatever. I just find him wonderful to watch. I mean, he is awful, and I do want to see his eventual undoing. But you know what? You got to give him better adversaries than this, because this lot are not on his level. They just weren't. The only one who slightly was Ollie off camera.
Yeah, but Ollie won't say any of those
No.
things on camera because he's too beautiful and pure a soul.
Well, when we say off camera, we mean, to camera.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes. Not in the same
in the
space
arena. Yeah.
as him. Wow, you've really made me think.
What about Harrison?
Yeah.
He's the MVP, man.
I hope we don't lose our loyal.
Our beloveds. Once again, to reiterate, I think he is unspeakably awful.
I'm not gonna say that I agree with you because I don't know that. I mean, I agree with you on that point. Sure, I can't say that I enjoy him.
I don't really.
I'd want it.
Who else could have shown Bronte up for what she is, right?
Yeah, but he's not doing it in. I don't think he's good enough. I think you're hyping him up too much. I'm interested to hear from our listeners what you think. Do you agree with Robin? Do you disagree? What are your thoughts?
Have you watched The Walking Dead? Once again, they always agree with me.
Have a look. Well, I'm certainly not going to stake anything on that right now. Yeah. Get in our DMs.
Harrison's like cordyceps.
Let us know what we
Harrison
think.
loves.
Stop. All right. Come on. I need some of this energy for 90 days. So we will be back after the final vows.
Yeah. Who's going to... Should we predict?
Sure.
We should.
Yeah. All right. Cam and Lyndall are going to be no. Melinda and Leighton.
I hope she's not so weak, is all I'll say.
I don't think she'll say yes. I think she's understood now that he's not going to fight for her.
Right.
Ollie and Tani, I think, are a yes.
I think so. It's not a real marriage, is it?
No.
No.
No, there's also that. Rupert and Evelyn,
Nah.
probably not.
But they might pretend to. But I think not. I think not.
No, I don't think so. Duncan and Alyssa.
No.
You don't think so?
I think he might grow a backbone. I think he might say, actually, you've not been very nice to me. And no.
See, I think it's going to be a yes because I think I have a feeling that she's going to go, oh my God, if I don't say yes to this, then I have to be alone. And she's not going to want that.
I think he might come to his senses.
I hope so, but my
Homestays will be it. Are they going to his or hers?
probably his, I'm guessing.
I think some of his friends might have a word.
Oh, that'll be interesting. And Bronte and Harrison, I think it's virtually certain idiots.
I just don't know which one of them is going to pull the trigger there. I don't think they'll even make it to the altar. She'll get a text. He'll send it with what is it? Deal date. What's the delivery Postmates? DoorDash. That's what they use. He'll send a DoorDash guy around with like a note.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that.
Right. Is that everyone?
Yeah, I think so.
And if it isn't, they don't deserve our attention. You do. We love you. Thank you for tolerating us. Can you tolerate an absence? Maybe. No one sent us any like hate mail or anything, so that's nice. Thank you. It's lovely to be back. We ain't going to be full schedule, but we're going to do what we can when we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to aim to be full schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we love you guys. Please answer some of the questions and get into the discussion and let us know what you think. Look out for our 90-day The Other Way recap, which we are about to record.
We'll probably do it tomorrow.
Okay, which we're about to record tomorrow.
See ya!
Soon.